Hey guys, I'm Chef T-Max. Welcome to the kitchen. Today, we are gonna make the most simple party thing you can do, lasagna. Spinach and mushroom is gonna be the flavor today because we wanna do a big party and some people don't eat meat, so it's weird. I wanna keep it vegetarian, but this thing is great to make. It's super simple, so stay with me. Click subscribe if you're not doing that. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video and ring that bell and I'll send you new things I have coming up. So stay with me for a beautiful spinach and mushroom lasagna. First thing you want to do is make your lasagna sheets, because the lasagna sheets, you got to cook them and then you're going to drain them. And then once we drain them, we'll be able to assemble them. So I've got some really nice pasta sheets here. You can see these look beautiful. Okay. You want to handle them carefully. You don't want to break them apart easily, right? We're going to need each one of these to make this beautiful lasagna, right? And you want to read the instructions. Now, they usually take about 6 to 8 minutes. Let's see what their prepping time here on these, because all your brands are a little bit thicker, a little bit different. So these are recommending 8 minutes. Okay, so we're gonna bake it for 8 minutes. So I've got my beautiful lasagna here. And meanwhile, while we're working on that, I'm gonna start to saute up my spinach and my mushrooms. Now I'm getting my pan hot over here. And meanwhile, I'm gonna lay my sheets of my pasta in. My water is starting to boil. We'll let it get a little bit more. I'll let it start raging a little bit before we put our pasta sheets in, okay? And then I'm gonna put my oil in my pan. Now here I've got some extra virgin olive oil in there. And then I'm gonna plop in my mushrooms. These are just like a sliced cremini mushroom. You can use any type you'd like. You can use specialty mushrooms. There's all different types. And I'm going to take salt and pepper. So I've got salt. And I've got pepper. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit more salt. And I'm going to let those saute up nice. Okay. We'll always start with the mushroom first, and then we'll do the spinach. The spinach, we cook it just to kind of wilt it down, and we want to bring it together. Now, there's lots of different recipes when you're adding spinach to something like this that you could chop up the spinach really small, but I like leaving the really leafiness in there. So when somebody gets their dish, they can kind of cut their fork through it and get pieces of spinach, pieces of mushroom. So I don't like to cut it up so fine where you can't deal with it. So let's take a look at this. My pasta water is getting ready. I'm gonna bring up my pasta. Okay. And I'm gonna start putting in my sheets of pasta in there. You want to make sure that you're getting a nice bit of water between each layer, right? And you let those cool. And we're putting a lot of pasta in there. There's a lot of noodles in there. So they're going to cook down, but we're going to be gentle how we fold those, okay? So we want to move them around in there, get them going. Sometimes, too, I'll put a little lid on there to make sure they get really hot, okay? Meanwhile, our mushrooms are cooking good. You can see how that looks. We want to wilt those down really well. And we're going to take these mushrooms, and I'll probably chop these slightly after. But again, it's not necessary. It depends how you like your lasagna. If you like your lasagna where everything is a smooth, chopped up bits, You can do that. You can chop the spinach, you can chop the mushroom and put it in there. But for me, I like it more rustic. You're going to see how that looks. And all the flavor is going to be in there regardless of what you do, whether you chop it or you mince it. Okay? Let's take a look at my pasta now. The pasta water is cooking back here. I want to move these around. Do not want them sticking to each other. So there's a lot of layers of noodle there too, right? So you got to make sure you're getting water in between every noodle, every nook and cranny in there, because otherwise they will stick together. Once you do the beginning like this, where you move it around quite a bit and you're making sure they're not sticking, you'll be fine. But if you don't do that properly in the beginning, they will stick to each other, and we don't want that. So you see, they're not going to cook evenly either. You'll get the outside of one will be cooked, and the inside of the other one will be not so cooked. So, got my noodles working. They're working nicely. Now, I do like to, my water is boiling nicely, but I like to put a lid on it because that'll keep it boiling fast, and I want it to cook good. Meanwhile, my mushrooms are doing good too. You can see they're sweating off their water. They're not burning or overcooking by any means. The main thing you want to make sure is that they cook out all of the liquid, because what happens in a lasagna, you want all of your ingredients to be kind of reduced of water, whatever vegetable you put in there, whether it's eggplant or peppers or onions, always sauteed up to reduce the water out. Because water in the lasagna is going to make it like soupy, and we don't want that. You want it very dense and very beautiful. That's why I think a lot of people will like cut their stuff up very small. That's to make sure all the liquid is getting out of it. So the same with the spinach. When we go to cook this spinach, we're going to also cook it so all the liquid comes out. So let me cook these mushrooms for a bit, and I'm going to cook the lasagna for a touch longer, and we'll see you back in about 4 to 5 minutes. I've had those in for about 3 to 4 minutes. It can take 8 minutes to cook, and I'll show you what they look like when they come out. Okay, it's been about 2 to 3 minutes. My mushrooms are looking really good right now. So what I want to do is I'm just going to put those here and drain those. Not drain them, just put them here, let them cool. And then what we'll do, all the kind of liquid is kind of cooked out of those. I'm going to go right into this hot pan. I'll put a little bit more olive oil. Okay? And I'm going to put some spinach here, like this. Now, the spinach we're just going to do in batches, because the way that the spinach sautés, it's going to cook it out. It's liquid. We're going to flop it over. We're going to stick it in here with the mushrooms. So I'm just going to stick it right on here, and we're ready to go. Now, I'm going to check my lasagna as well. I can tell already that this needs more time. You can kind of look at the noodles themselves and see the al dente-ness of them. Meanwhile, I'm going to take some extra virgin olive oil and put it on a sheet pan here. Okay. And what that's going to do is I'm going to take these sheets of pasta out, lay them out so they can spread out nicely. Always checking to make sure these are not stuck together. That's the key. Do not want them to stick together or have any stuck out of the water. Okay? Now, I'm going to continue to cook my spinach, and then I'm going to finish my lasagna noodles, and I'll be right back to see you. Okay, I'm right back. So I'm going to take my noodles. They're ready now. And I'm going to show you how we want to do these. We want to take these noodles individually, and they're a little al dente. I've tasted, I cut a piece of the one noodle off, and I tasted it, and it's got an al dente flavor to it. That's what we want. Now, I don't rinse these in ice water. I like to take them out early like this and like let them cool quickly on their own, right? I like to put oil on both sides like this so they don't stick together with each other. But some of the starch that's on here is still on them. If you put these in ice water, then what they do is the noodle itself gets very, like waterlogged, I guess is the right word to look for. It gets this waterlogged feel to it, and I hate that. I just really like a nice, beautifully cooked pasta noodle that's not waterlogged, okay? Now, these ones I've oiled like this. I'll stick that on top of each other because they can be near each other because they have had oil on them. We just basically want to cool them down, okay? Again, to do this, you can't like cook the noodle all the way here because then it's going to be overcooked. Meanwhile, while we're doing this, I'm going to pour some of this water out. Pour that water out. It's a little bit easier to get to them. I'm going to toss my spinach over here. This baby spinach is not as ultra watery as you would think. So I need to keep it warm, but I don't want to really worry about how bad it's cooked down because it's not super watery. So I can take some of the spinach out now. I'll put it in here. And I'm going to take the rest of the spinach and do the rest of my spinach. So it does take like 3 to 4 batches to get all of your spinach out. Again, more olive oil. So we put a little bit more olive oil, like this, right? And then I'm going to put my spinach in. Okay? Super simple. All right, let me finish cooking that. I'm going to finish taking this pasta out, and I'll see you back in a second. Okay, guys. So let's start this up. I've got my pan here. I'm going to just take one of my favorite jarred sauces, and you can pick your favorite in the grocery store. There's tons of great ones out there, right? And I'm going to put a layer down of that. And then I want to put a sheet of pasta noodles. Now, I usually wait and I take kind of the broken ones, these ones I don't want to throw away, and I stick those in there like this, okay? So you can see they're going to be on the bottom. We're going to put some good ones too, don't worry. But I don't want to throw any bad ones away. So this is where I put them. I put them on the bottom. That way your top layer has got your most beautiful pieces, and the bottom layer is going to have these noodles that are broken down a little bit, okay? Like this, I just stick those under the side like this. They're going to all come together later. Okay, now, once I do that, then I'm going to put a layer of my cheese on top. So I want to grab a spoon for that. And I'm going to take first my ricotta. So I'm going to put my ricotta down like this. Put like 4 big spoonfuls. And then we're just going to kind of brush it throughout this base, okay? Like this. You can see it because we've got so much tomato in there, it's going to not spread around super easily. You're not going to be able to wipe it right through. You got to be gentle, kind of just move it around. Remember, this is going to eventually, when it cooks, it's going to fall apart. So you can put it in like in little dollops halfway like this too. Okay? And your goal is to spread this out. Okay? Spread that beautiful cheese out everywhere, the ricotta cheese. Now, if you want to make your own, you can make your own. I do have, I think, a recipe up there on making your own ricotta. So you can check that out. And I usually make it, when I make it for random stuff, I'll make it herb ricotta, but you could just leave the herbs out. But herbs in this would be nice too. Basil. Good ricotta is amazing, right? Now I'm going to start to add in my mixture of spinach and mushroom. So I scatter the spinach and the mushrooms all out evenly, right? This will be that beautiful layer of mushrooms and spinach, like this. Look how wonderful that looks, right? Let's do a little bit more here. And we can go heavy on this bottom layer. You know, this is the layer I'd like to go a little bit heavier on. Like this, right? Pressed it all smooth, right? Now, I don't want to forget salting pepper, okay? Because I didn't put a lot of salt and pepper on the spinach and the mushrooms. So on this layer, I want to give a good amount of salt, like that, okay? And I want to put pepper. Now, if you have friends who like it spicy, you could put red pepper flakes here. That would be nice too, a little sprinkling of those. I like to cook them sometimes with my spinach if you're going to do that. Now with this too, I'll put a little bit of some grated parm, so you guys can see what that looks like, right? Little grated parm, not overdoing it, but just like that. Okay, now I want to come back to this. Here's another broken one. I'm going to stick it there, because again, I'm not going to waste any of these broken ones. And the rest of these look pretty nice. So I'm going to take them, I'll overlap them a little bit. So we have a nice layer of noodles, like this, okay? And again, that looks fantastic, right? Now, this time I'm gonna put down ricotta, and then I'm gonna put down tomato, because the ricotta is easier kind of to spread a little bit when it's just got this on the base top like this, okay? And then keep adding that to that, okay? So I've got some here, like this, okay? Getting it everywhere, every corner, every spot. People are gonna be eating all types of different locations on this, so we're gonna put it like this, okay? Look at that. Okay. Whoops. You don't want to yank it up like that. Keep it hidden where it is, and I keep it pressed down good too, right? The key with this too is don't over sauce it. I love licking my fingers after all these, because you don't need to over sauce it, right? You want to keep it sauce light. Now this layer here, I keep a little bit less, like that. And then I'll spread that in with my cheese, like this. It gives this little creamy aspect to it, right? That looks beautiful. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my last bit of mushroom and spinach and scatter that around as well. If you're using less spinach, then you can always, chop this up really good. Chop up your spinach, okay? And it'll make for a nicer dish if you've got the spinach kind of everywhere evenly. This way, you've got a real, look at that, a real natural look to this, right? Everything's just spread beautifully. It's all whole. When you get a little big slice of that, you're gonna get a nice, flavor of everything in that, okay? And then from this part, I wanna do one more thing. I wanna put a little bit of mozzarella at this point. So this is just grated mozzarella. I'm gonna layer some of that in at this point, because we're done with our other stuff. So this layer gets cheese to kind of make things sticky, right? Or I should say a stickier cheese like this, right? So I put that in really good. And I want to put one more layer of pasta on top. So you can see this is already getting thick, right? So our last layer will be sheets on top, like this. Beautiful sheets of pasta on top. Look how gorgeous that looks, right? like this. One more. Beautiful. And I'm going to press that in really good. That gets rid of any air that's in there. Like that. Look at that. Right, you guys? That looks fantastic. Now, at this point, I'm going to add, I'm not going to add my cheese on it right at this point, because at this point, I want to cook it in the oven, let this bake and get really nice flavor. Then what we'll do is we'll cook it about 45 minutes. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator overnight, let it set, cook it tomorrow. But when I'm done baking it, I'm going to pull it out 15 minutes, 45 minutes I'm going to bake it. Then I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to put more mozzarella on the top, parmesan, and bake it for another 10 minutes. And you'll see how that makes a beautiful looking crust on that. It's going to be fantastic. So we'll show you what it looks like when we get towards the end. This goes in the oven now at 350, covered for about it depends. If you're going to put it in the fridge overnight like I am, you're going to pull it out, it's going to be ice cold. So it takes about 45 minutes to cook it. If you're putting it right now where all these ingredients are room temperature, it's going to take about 25 to 30 minutes. Okay, so depending on that. So remember, if you do pre-prep this and put it in the fridge overnight, that's what you're going to want to do. So I'll show you what it looks like in a little bit. We're going to throw it in the oven and I'll give you a time then. Okay guys, it's been about 30 minutes. I've popped this out of the oven. Look how beautiful that looks. Gorgeous, right? Good color. It's baked together. The noodles themselves have baked together with the sauces and the cheese, and it's ready to go. Now, what I like to do is put the mozzarella on the top at this time, leave it uncovered, because if you put the mozzarella on it, it's going to stick to your foil. When you go to pull it off, it's just going to get everywhere. So now you want to put your mozzarella cheese on top. If you want to just put slices of nice buffalo mozzarella on top, that's always really nice. Pop it in the oven for another 15 minutes. That will melt and get golden brown. It'll be perfect. This is the best thing to make, you guys, and you can make it days in advance. You can freeze them. So try it at home. Leave comments and questions where you have them, and I'll see you back in the kitchen soon. I'm Chef T. Max.